just after the crash of '85 and industry down, and I wasn't playing music at the time. And so I moved to Portland, and it was kind of a winter day, and I was cleaning a billboard. I was actually working for the billboard company, and I was up on a billboard, and I came down, grabbed a hold of a ladder on the way down, and broke 8 rungs of aluminum ladder before I hit the ground. And fortunately, a young boy was with his mother at a bus stop across the street and happened to see me fall. And he goes, "Look, Mom, that guy just jumped off his sign." And so they called the ambulance. I was still conscious, but in shock. And I got to the hospital, and then I was in 2 years of rehab and reconstruction, and nearly lost my arm. And so I had to reinvent myself. And so, you know, I was a musician and playing music one day, and, you know, then working in the construction industry to, you know, pay the bills and feed the horses. And the next thing I know, I'm in the hospital recovering. So,
well, that's a real kick in the ass, right? That's crazy.
Well, the upside though, Ruben, the upside is the company that I worked for came back and hired me back, and I became the safety director. So I wrote fall protection. So I wrote fall protection programs and wrote safety manuals, and I started working with all this software, and that's what got me in the tech field. So it led me down the technology path. So.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
You were working on a billboard, you said?
Yeah, outdoor advertising.
So isn't there's a little bit of a paradox in there, something kind of interesting, that you were working on a billboard in construction for advertising, and then you fell 3 stories to get into basically advertising. So now it makes sense. You fell 3 stories to get into advertising. So it was from advertising to advertising, just, you know, the real world to you know, digital and technical.
Yeah, it's wordsmithing, you know. That's what we call marketing, right?
That's crazy. So you know I'm a drummer, right?
No, I did not know that. I saw your drums in your office on one of your videos. So
yeah, no, but I'm like a drummer. Like, I've been drumming since I was about 13 years old.
All right, I started when I was 11. I started playing clubs when I was 16.
No way, that's a trip. Yeah.
I was in bands that, you know, we had a 20, 30 foot Bluebird bus and traveled around the country and Northwest and Canada, and had a great time. Yeah.
Who would you say your early influences in music are?
Well, when I started playing, it was kind of in the disco era. So I played country, and then I really enjoyed the 80s because that was more, I resonated with that. So, you know, mostly corporate rock bands. You know, I really liked bands like Cold Blood early on, Tower of Power, you know, Average White Band. Funk, I was really into funk. I really liked funk, reggae. And then, you know, Journey, you know, all of the big hair bands that came along after that. And then I was kind of then I got into electronic. I've actually performed dubstep in Houston in the past. So I've DJ'd and played dubstep in Houston when I was there.
Very cool.
In 2010. I left there a year and a half ago. So
we almost called the Dubb automated workflows Dubstep.
Oh, really? I would love. I just I saw the Dubb label and I thought, I got to pick this up. I got to check it out.
That's cool.
That's very cool. So we'll have to talk offline sometime about drumming and
yeah. Well, my origin story on drums is Tom Sawyer. You know.
Oh yeah.
Rush.
The Professor.
Yeah, Neil Peart. You know, and I just heard him when I was a kid. And him along with John Bonham, and I bought these 2 books. I bought Moving Pictures, the book, the drum book, and I bought I think it was Led Zeppelin 4, and I learned every single song off from every single album on the drums. I could play them to perfection. You know, I play them. You know, I remember I had my drum kit on the second of my bunk bed, on the top of my bunk bed, and I would just jam and play, and it was a lot of fun. And then I got into a band and, you know, went down that route, and it was it was incredible. And to this date, I mean, I still play music. You know, I've got actually have some bongos next to me, and I think 2 guitars and then a ukulele here, along with a ton of percussion. But really, the beat, I think, of my life is, you know, rhythm and percussion and music, and, you know, we're always composing, you know, so I haven't stopped drumming since then.
Well, I got really heavy into Ableton Live and composing music. So, you know, I have all the electronic equipment for that. So it's really handy. And then, you know, I taught podcasting at Podcast Movement, and I've taught podcasting and I used to run radio stations in Houston as well at one point in time. And audio, music, you know, all of this equipment, this gear, and being a nerd kind of all comes together at once. And music has always been the thread that kind of held it all together.
Well, if you have tracks, please send them our way, and we will find a home for them in one of our videos.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. So speaking of podcasting, though, you know, it's just blown up. It's like everywhere I look, there's something cool out there, and I want to consume all of it. And some of them are so long. Some of the podcasts are like 3 hours. How do I even get through this? You know,
I got to take a long road trip just to consume this.
Right. And I found myself, you know, driving, and I'll lose internet, and then I'll lose the podcast, and then I'll get that like road rage. I'll be like, no, where's my podcast?
Yeah. And then, you know, Spotify just purchased Anchor FM.
Yeah.
And Gimlet Media, you know, Gimlet was, you know, they've grown huge. So it's amazing. And, you know, I have friends in the podcast arena, and their podcasts are growing and expanding, and people wanted a more personalized experience. I think, you know, that goes back to the relationship that you have, because podcasting can be very intimate, you know, just like this show. It's amazing how personalized it can be.
Well, like you, I have some of that, you know, corporate America experience. And I think I sort of suffered for a while of being stuck into a situation where you couldn't necessarily have casual conversations like this, create casual content, but really get that authentic, real honest stories from people. Because corporate, at least many years ago, it used to be very contrived and very overproduced, and everything had to be pristine. But that's not really what people want anymore. Now they want real human stories, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's definitely helped to the whole podcast thing, especially in corporate, you know? So what's your take on that? I mean, you have so much experience. Give us some tips and tricks on.
Well, I think organizations, if they're not creating a show around their products and services and the value they bring to their community, I think they're missing out. I really think that corporate podcasts or shows, you know, producing content around how they help, who they help, and how to engage with them. I think that has to be part of your equation if you're going to be doing business in the next 5-10 years. And if you're not producing that content right now, you need to start, because it's not a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of when it will happen and how it evolves. I mean, we're already seeing it. You know, how many hours of traditional television have you watched in the last month?
Stranger Things, couple episodes.
That's not CBS, NBC.
No, zero. I haven't watched regular.
I haven't owned a TV since '95.
Yeah.
So the reality is people are streaming, and they'll pay a subscription fee to avoid commercials, right?
Right.
So if a company and organization is spending millions of dollars on commercials, and you go down the highway, you know, the passengers are looking at their phone. They're not looking at the billboards anymore. So if you want to be engaged in your community, you have an opportunity right now that is cost effective, it's impactful, and you can grow a community around your cause, and you can get some fans of your product, and have the fans become your advertising. And you do that by...
With Dubb, you can easily send your business videos from Gmail, LinkedIn, CRMs, and so many more places, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Absolutely perfect.
Screen records, landing pages that can really help businesses to grow.